I never thought I would see the day where my own son would let me die over 10 measly dollars, but there I was standing in his driveway shaking from a fever I was faking while he polished the rims of his brand new Porsche. I looked like absolute garbage. I was wearing a coat I bought from a thrift store that smelled like mothballs and wet dog, and I had rubbed dirt on my cheeks to make myself look gray and sickly. I wanted to see if the people who claimed to love me actually loved me, or if they just loved the 7 zeros in my bank account. I stood there shivering in the cold wind watching my son Rick wipe a smudge off his side mirror. He looked right at me, and he did not see his mother. He saw a nuisance. He saw something ugly that was ruining the aesthetic of his perfect suburban lawn. That was the moment my heart actually started to break for real. My name is Eleanor, and for the last 40 years, I have run one of the biggest real estate firms on the East Coast. I've spent my entire life building an empire, so my son would never have to know what it felt like to be hungry. I gave him everything. I paid for his private schools and his fancy cars and his down payment on this massive house. But lately I started getting a bad feeling. Rick stopped calling unless he needed a check signed. He stopped visiting unless it was a holiday where gifts were involved. And the way he talked to me changed. It became impatient. Like he was checking his watch waiting for me to kick the bucket so he could cash out. Then there was Maya. Maya was Rick's ex-wife. Technically, they were separated, but the divorce was dragging on because Rick was trying to hide his assets. I hated Maya. I ain't gonna lie about it. I was terrible to that girl. She came from nothing. She grew up in a trailer park and worked as a waitress when Rick met her. I thought she was trash. I thought she was a gold digger who trapped my son with a pretty face. I tried to stop the wedding. I literally stood up in the church and made a scene. I told Rick he was making a mistake. I refused to let her in my house for Christmas. I made her life a living hell until she finally packed her bags and left him 6 months ago. But sitting alone in my 20-room mansion, I started thinking. Rick was cold. Maya was emotional. Rick loved things. Maya loved people. I needed to know the truth. So, I came up with a plan. I created a fake scenario. I withdrew a massive amount of cash and hid it in a safe deposit box my lawyer controls. Then I told everyone I had made some bad investments. I told them the feds were looking into my accounts. I planted the seed that I was losing it all. Then I put on the disguise. I walked up to Rick's driveway. My legs felt heavy. I was playing a part, but the sadness I felt was real. Rick looked up from his car. He frowned. He dropped his microfiber towel and walked over to me, but he stopped about 10 feet away like I was contagious. "Mom," he said. His voice was sharp. "What on earth are you wearing? You look like a bag lady. The neighbors are going to see you." I coughed. A dry, hacking cough. I had been practicing. "Rick," I said. My voice trembled. "I lost the house. They locked the doors this morning. I have nowhere to go. And I do not feel good, Rick. My chest hurts. I need my heart medication, but I left my purse inside when the marshals kicked me out." Rick rolled his eyes. He actually rolled his eyes. "Mom, stop being dramatic. You did not lose the house. You probably just forgot to pay a bill or something. Go call your lawyer." "I do not have a phone, Rick. They took everything. Please. I just need to get to the pharmacy. The prescription is ready, I just need the copay. It is $10. Please, Rick. I feel dizzy." I stumbled a little bit for effect. I reached out a hand to steady myself on his car. "Hey, watch the paint," he snapped. He jumped forward and blocked me from touching the hood. I stared at him. He was more worried about a scratch on his car than his mother having a heart attack. "Rick, please. Just $10. I will pay you back. I just need to breathe." He let out a long sigh. The kind of sigh you give a child who is asking for candy before dinner. "I do not carry cash, Mom." "Who carries cash anymore? Look, I have a tea time in 20 minutes. I cannot deal with this right now. Go to a shelter or something if it is that bad. I will call you later when you are done acting crazy." He turned his back on me. He picked up his towel and went back to polishing his wheel. I stood there for a full minute. I was waiting for him to turn around. I was waiting for him to say he was kidding. I was waiting for him to realize that I was his mother, and I was standing there looking like death and begging for help. He never turned around. I turned and walked away. My feet dragged on the concrete. I did not have to act sad anymore. I was devastated. I had raised a monster. I walked down the street. I had parked my actual car 3 blocks away, but I did not want to go back to it yet. I was too angry. I kept walking until I reached the bus stop near the strip mall at the edge of the neighborhood. I sat down on the cold metal bench. I put my head in my hands. That is when I saw the beat-up Honda Civic pull into the parking lot. It was rattling, and the muffler was loud. It parked in front of the grocery store. The door opened, and Maya stepped out. She looked tired. She was wearing a faded denim jacket, and her hair was pulled back in a messy bun. She looked thinner than the last time I saw her. She was working 2 jobs just to make ends meet because Rick had cut her off completely and was stalling on the alimony. I watched her walk toward the store. She was counting crumpled dollar bills in her hand. She looked stressed. I knew she would hate me. If Rick, who I gave everything to turn me away, Maya, who I treated like dirt, would probably spit on me. But I had to know. I got up and walked over to her. I intercepted her right before she reached the sliding doors. Maya, I rasped. She stopped. She turned and looked at me. Her eyes went wide. She did not look at my clothes with disgust. She looked at my face with concern. Eleanor, she said. Oh my God. Are you okay? What happened to you? I leaned against the brick wall. I let my shoulders slump. I lost it all, Maya. Rick threw me out. The bank took the house. I have been sleeping at the bus station for 2 days. Maya dropped the money she was holding. She grabbed my arm. Her hands were warm. Oh my God, Eleanor. That is horrible. Why did Rick do that? Come here. Sit down. She led me to a bench outside the store. She sat next to me and rubbed my back. She did not care that my coat was dirty. She did not care that people were staring. I am sick, Maya, I whispered. I ran out of my heart pills. My chest feels like it is being squeezed by a vice. I went to Rick. I begged him for $10 to get my refill. He told me he did not have cash and told me to leave. Maya's face hardened. Her jaw clenched. He did what? He sent you away.
He said he had a tea time, I said.
Maya shook her head. Tears welled up in her eyes. I could see the anger radiating off her. That son of a... She stopped herself. Listen, Eleanor. We are going to get your medicine. Okay. Do not worry. We will get it. She stood up and checked her pockets. She pulled out the crumpled bills again.
She counted them.
1,
2,
3,
4.
And some change. She bit her lip. She looked at the grocery store, then she looked at me. I only have $4, she said softly. I was just going to buy milk and bread for the week. She looked panicked. She looked around the parking lot like money might fall from the sky. Then her eyes stopped on the pawn shop across the street. It was a dingy little place with bars on the windows and a neon sign that flickered. Maya looked at her hand. She was still wearing her wedding band. It was a simple gold band. Rick had given her a big diamond when they got engaged, but he made her sign a prenup that said he got the diamond back if they split. But the gold band was hers. It was the only thing of value she had left. She looked at the ring. Then she looked at me shivering on the bench. Stay here, Eleanor, she said. Do not move. I will be right back.
Maya, no, I said.
I grabbed her wrist. You do not have to do this. I have to, she said. You are family. Even if you hate me, you are family. And I am not going to let you die on the sidewalk. She pulled her hand away and ran across the street. I watched her go. My heart was pounding so hard I thought maybe I really was having a medical emergency. I watched her push open the heavy door of the pawn shop and disappear inside. I stood up and followed her. I had to see this. I had to see how far she would go. I crept up to the window of the pawn shop and peered through the security grate. Maya was standing at the counter. The guy behind the glass looked bored. He was chewing gum and watching a small TV in the corner. Maya twisted the ring off her finger. It left a pale mark on her skin where it had been for 5 years. She placed it on the counter. Her hand was shaking. I need cash, she said. I could hear her through the thin glass. I need $20.
Please.
It is real gold. The guy picked up the ring. He put a loop to his eye and looked at it for 2 seconds. He tossed it onto a scale. Gold price is down, lady. And this is thin. It is barely a gram. I will give you 15. I will take it, Maya said quickly. Please just hurry. It is an emergency. $15. For the symbol of her marriage. Even if the marriage was over, that ring was the last tie she had to the life she thought she was going to have. And she was selling it for $15 to save the woman who had called her trash on her wedding day. The guy opened the register and counted out a 10 and a 5. He slid the money under the glass. He swept the ring into a drawer without a second thought. Maya grabbed the cash. She did not look back at the ring. She turned around and ran out the door. I scrambled back to the bench and sat down just as she came sprinting back across the street. I got it, she said, breathless. She was smiling. She waved the money in the air like she had just won the lottery. I got it, Eleanor. Let's go. The pharmacy is right around the corner. She pulled me up. She put her arm around my waist to support me. We walked to the pharmacy in silence. I waited while she paid for the prescription. It was a bottle of vitamins I had the pharmacist fill earlier just for this test, but the label looked real enough. Maya handed me the bottle and a bottle of water she had bought with the leftover change. Here, she said.
Take it. Drink slowly.
I opened the bottle and took a pill. I drank the water. Maya watched me like a hawk. Her eyes were full of genuine worry. Are you feeling better? She asked after a minute. I nodded. I took a deep breath.
Yes.
The tightness is going away. Thank you, Maya. She let out a breath she had been holding. She slumped back in the plastic chair of the waiting area.
Thank God, she said.
I looked at her hand. Her finger looked naked without the ring. Maya, I said. Where did you get the money? She hid her hand in her pocket. She looked away. I had some emergency cash stashed in the car, she lied. Do not worry about it. You are a terrible liar, Maya, I said. I reached over and pulled her hand out of her pocket. I stared at the empty finger. You sold your ring. She shrugged. She tried to pull her hand away, but I held it tight. It does not matter, Eleanor. It was just a ring. Rick and I are done anyway. It was just a piece of metal. You are a human being.
But I treated you like garbage, I said.
My voice cracked. I did not have to fake the emotion now. I tried to ruin your life. Why would you help me? Maya looked me in the eyes. Her eyes were brown and warm and clear.
Because that is who I am, she said.
And I know what it is like to have nothing, Eleanor. I know what it is like to be hungry and cold and have people look through you like you do not exist. I would not wish that on my worst enemy. Not even you. I started to cry. Real tears. They made tracks in the dirt on my face. I am so sorry, Maya. I sobbed.
I am so sorry.
She squeezed my hand. It is okay.
You're safe now. Come on.
My apartment is not much. It is a studio and the heat is kind of glitchy, but I have a pull-out couch. You can stay with me until you get back on your feet. I will make us some soup. She stood up and helped me to the door. We walked back to her beat-up car. She opened the passenger door for me. It squeaked loudly. As she walked around to the driver's side, I looked at her. She had no money, no ring, no husband, and she was offering to share her soup with the monster-in-law. I reached into my dirty coat pocket and pulled out my phone. It was a brand new iPhone. Maya got in the car and put the key in the ignition. She looked at me and saw the phone in my hand. Eleanor, she said, confused. I thought you said you did not have a phone. I do not have a phone, I said. Not the one you think. I dialed a number. Maya watched me. Her brow furrowed. Hello, Mrs. Vanderbilt. My lawyer answered on the first ring. Charles I said. My voice was strong. No more rasp. No more weak old lady act. Eleanor. Is everything okay? Everything is clear, Charles. I need you to execute Protocol Bravo immediately. Protocol Bravo. Are you sure? I am sure. Freeze all of Rick's assets. Every single account. The trust fund. The cards. The investments. Lock him out of everything. And send a tow truck to his house to collect the Porsche. It is in my name, and I want it gone within the hour. Maya was staring at me. Her mouth was open. Eleanor, what is going on? She whispered. I held up a finger. And Charles I continued. I need you to cut a check. A cashier's check. For how much?
$5 million, I said.
And I need you to meet me at the pawn shop on 4th Street in 20 minutes. Bring the check and bring a jeweler. I have a ring I need to buy back. I hung up the phone. I turned to Maya. She looked like she had seen a ghost. Eleanor, she stammered. You are not broke.
No, honey, I said.
I reached into my pocket and pulled out a wet wipe. I scrubbed the dirt off my cheek. I am richer than God. And I just found out that you are the only person in this family worth a damn dime. Maya started shaking her head.
I do not understand. This was a test.
Yes, I said.
And you passed.
Rick failed. He failed miserably. But Eleanor,
Hush now, I said.
Drive me to the pawn shop. We're getting your ring back. And then we're going to go buy you a house. A real house. Not a studio with glitchy heat. And then I'm going to take you to dinner. And we're going to talk about how you're going to run my company when I retire. Maya started crying again. But this time they were happy tears. We drove to the pawn shop. Charles was there waiting in his black town car. He looked out of place in this neighborhood, but he had the check. We walked into the shop. The guy behind the counter looked up. Back already, he sneered. No refunds, lady. I slapped a stack of $100 bills on the counter. It was $5,000. I want the ring back, I said. And I want the best diamond you have in the back. The guy's eyes popped out of his head. He scrambled to open the drawer. We got the ring back. Maya put it on. It shined even under the flickering neon lights. We walked out to the town car. Charles opened the door for us. Where to, madam? He asked. I looked at Maya. Where do you want to go? I asked. Anywhere in the world. Maya wiped her eyes. She smiled.
Can we just get that soup? She asked.
I am actually really hungry. I laughed. It was the first time I had laughed in years.
Soup it is, I said.
We got in the car. As we drove away, I pulled up the security camera feed from Rick's house on my phone. I saw the tow truck pulling into the driveway. I saw Rick running out of the house in his bathrobe waving his arms. I saw the driver hook up the Porsche. I watched Rick scream at the sky. I smiled and closed the app. He did not carry cash. Well, now he did not carry anything. Maya fell asleep on my shoulder on the way to the restaurant. I put my arm around her. I had lost a son that day, but I had gained a daughter. And that was a trade I would make 1,000,000 times over. The soup tasted like victory, but the constant buzzing of my phone in my pocket tasted like sweet revenge. Rick had been calling non-stop for the last 20 minutes. I sat across from Maya in a booth at a 24-hour diner while Charles waited in the car outside. Maya was staring at her bowl of clam chowder like it was going to bite her. She looked up at me, and I could see her hands were still shaking. Eleanor, she said softly. Is this real? Are you really going to cut him off? I took a sip of my coffee. It was burnt and bitter and perfect. I am not just cutting him off, Maya. I am pruning the whole tree. I enabled that boy for 35 years. I created a man who thinks $10 is too much to pay for his mother's life. That ends today. My phone rang again. The screen lit up with a picture of Rick smiling at a beach club. I slid the phone across the table.
Answer it, I said.
Put it on speaker. Maya recoiled. I cannot.
He will scream at me.
He cannot hurt you anymore, I said. You have the power now. Go ahead. Maya took a deep breath. She pressed the green button and tapped the speaker icon. Where are you? He screamed. He did not even say hello. His voice was high-pitched and panicked. Mom, are you there? The towing company took the Porsche. They said you authorized it. And my cards are declining. I tried to buy a smoothie, and it said insufficient funds. Fix this immediately. Maya looked at me.
You nodded a hair.
Hello, Rick, Maya said. Her voice was steady. There was a silence on the other end. A long, heavy silence.
Maya.
Rick's voice dropped to a dangerous whisper. Why do you have my mother's phone? She is having dinner, Rick. She does not want to talk to you right now. Put her on the phone, you gold-digging parasite. Rick roared. I knew you were up to something. Did you steal her phone? Did you trick her? Mom, if you can hear me, listen to me. Maya is a snake. She is trying to scam you. I leaned over the table toward the phone. The only snake here is the one who would let his mother die on a driveway, I said loud and clear.
Mom.
Rick sounded shocked. Mom, what are you talking about? I thought you were broke.
You said you lost the house.
Electric. It was a test.
And you failed. Maya passed.
What?
A test. That is insane. Mom, you cannot just take my car and my money because of a prank. I was stressed. I had a tea time. You know how important networking is for the business. The business, I said. You mean my business. The business you have never done a day of real work for in your life. Mom, please.
Let us talk about this.
Just tell the bank to unlock my accounts. I have a mortgage. I have payments. You should have thought about that before you told me to go to a homeless shelter. I said. I hung up the phone. I blocked the number. Maya looked at me with wide eyes. He is going to come for us, she said. He is going to be so angry. Let him come, I said. I finished my coffee. I am ready for him. We spent that night at a luxury hotel downtown because I wanted Maya to have a good night's sleep on high-thread count sheets. The next morning, I took her shopping. We did not go to the outlet mall. We went to the high-end boutiques. I bought her 3 tailored suits, a new winter coat, and a pair of Italian leather boots. She looked at herself in the dressing room mirror and started to cry again. I do not recognize myself, she whispered.
Get used to it, I said.
You look like a CEO. And that is exactly what you're going to be. We went to my office tower at noon. I had called an emergency board meeting. When we walked into the lobby, the security guards nodded at me. They knew who signed the checks. I walked Maya right past the receptionist and into the boardroom. The entire board of directors was there. They looked nervous. Rick was there too. He was wearing wrinkled clothes. He looked like he had not slept. When he saw me, he jumped up. Mom, thank God. He ran toward me with his arms open. Look, we need to stop this madness. I am sorry, okay? I acted like a jerk. I was just having a bad day. He tried to hug me. I stepped back.
Sit down, Rick, I said.
He froze. He looked at Maya standing next to me in her new suit. His eyes narrowed. What is she doing here? This is a private board meeting. She is my guest, I said.
Sit down.
Rick sat down. He looked small in the leather chair. I stood at the head of the table. I looked at the faces of the men and women who helped run my company. I have made a decision, I announced. I am stepping down as CEO, effective immediately. There were gasps around the room. Rick smirked. He straightened his tie. Well, Mom, he said, trying to sound humble. You have earned a retirement. And I am ready to step up. I have been preparing for this my whole life. I looked at him and laughed.
It was a cold, hard laugh.
You, Rick. You could not run a lemonade stand without bankrupting it. You are not taking over the company. You are fired. The room went deadly silent. Rick's jaw dropped.
Fired.
You cannot fire me. I am your son. I can, and I just did. Your access to the building has been revoked. Your company car has been repossessed. And your salary is 0. Rick stood up, slamming his hands on the table. This is illegal. You cannot do this. Who are you going to give it to then? Some stranger. No, I said. I turned to Maya. I am giving it to Maya. Rick looked like he had been slapped. Maya. Are you joking? She was a waitress. She does not know anything about real estate. She knows about people, I said. She knows about struggle. And she knows about loyalty. She is the new interim CEO. I will stay on as chairman to train her. But she calls the shots. I reached into my purse and pulled out a crisp $10 bill. I slid it down the long mahogany table until it stopped right in front of Rick. Here, I said. This is your severance package. Do not spend it all in one place. Rick looked at the money. His face turned red. He looked at the board members who were all staring at the floor, trying not to make eye contact. You are crazy, he shouted. I will sue you. I will take everything. Security, I said into the intercom. Please escort the trespasser out of the building. 2 large guards walked in. Rick looked at them, then at me. He realized he had lost. He grabbed the $10 bill, crumpled it up, and threw it at Maya.
Keep it, he spat.
You're going to need it when you run this place into the ground. Maya picked up the bill. She smoothed it out on the table. She looked Rick dead in the eye.
Goodbye, Rick, she said.
The guards dragged him out. We could hear him screaming all the way to the elevator. The next few months were a whirlwind. Rick tried to sue, of course, but my lawyers crushed him like a bug.
Without my money to pay for high-powered attorneys, he ended up with a strip mall lawyer who did not stand a chance. He had to sell his house. He had to sell his watches. Last I heard, he was working as a car salesman in New Jersey trying to convince people to buy extended warranties. Maya flourished. I was right about her. She was a sponge. She soaked up every bit of knowledge I gave her. But she was different than me. She was kinder. She implemented better benefits for the employees. She started a scholarship fund for kids from low-income families. She led with her heart, but she had a backbone of steel. 6 months after the incident on the driveway, we were sitting in my office. Maya was behind the big desk. I was sitting on the couch reading a magazine. "Eleanor," Maya said. I looked up.
"I have a question," she said. "Shoot."
"Why $10? Why did you ask him for $10 that day?" I put the magazine down.
"Because I said."
$10 is nothing to a rich man. It is pocket change. It is trash. If he had given it to me, it would not have cost him anything. But refusing to give it to me showed me that his greed was bigger than his heart. Maya nodded. She looked down at her hand. She was wearing the gold band again. She never bought a new diamond. She said she liked the gold one better because it reminded her of what mattered. "And why did you help me, Maya?" I asked. "You had $4 to your name." She smiled. "Because you looked like you needed a mom," she said. "And I know you did not really have one growing up." She was right. My mother had abandoned me when I was 6. I had built walls around my heart to protect myself. It took a waitress with $4 to tear them down. I stood up and walked over to the desk. I kissed her forehead.
"Come on, boss," I said.
"Let's go get some soup." We walked out of the office together. I had spent my whole life trying to build a legacy. I thought my legacy was the buildings with my name on them. I thought it was the money in the bank. But as I walked down the street with Maya laughing about something silly, I realized I was wrong. My legacy was not the son I gave birth to. It was the daughter I chose. And for the first time in 65 years, I felt truly rich.